the show, 5 Chef Fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to another episode of 5 Stripe Weekly, and it is the off season, as we all know, and unfortunately, but yes, the MLS Cup playoffs are still happening, but we thought it was an apropos time to get into the 2023 season review, and we will recap what our favorite moments were, favorite players, best attackers, best defenders later in the episode. But first off, we have to thank our lovely Patreon members. And let's start off with Gavin Marshall, Jordan Beck, Niall Faruqi, Andrew Rowicki, Ariel Costa, and Chris James. Shouts out to you guys. But yes, as well, we are on the road to 10K subs, so help a brother out. Don't be a freeloader, and if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe. But let's get into those news then. And first up is that Yorgos Giacomakis and Thiago Almada, they have been named into the 2023 MLS Best 11. The best attacking duo in the league, for sure. But yeah, I mean, you know, absolutely. When you have Thiago Almada in the conversation for MVP and Yorgos Giacomakis as well in the conversation for the Golden Boot, and yeah, just the sheer numbers that they were putting up all season, it's very much well deserved. But does it put a little bit of a damper on our playoff run? Should we have done better? What do you think, Mike?
No, not yet. They didn't have the accompaniments in order to shine as brightly as they're supposed to. There are two great pieces to build a team around, and I think that when you get that complement in next season, you may start to see a lot more firepower come from these guys, including our wingers, including our midfield. You might even start to see some midfielders scoring like Darlington Nagbe likes to do, if we can get a solid DP in the midfield to back up Tristan and things like that. So looking forward to that. Again, these are two great bricks to build an incredible I don't know what to call it.
Foundation.
I was gonna say castle, because one of the things in my head right now is turning the Benz into a fortress again. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's the crux of it is that you need building blocks, and yeah, these are two of the best in the league for sure. Maybe already being courted by some European clubs, but at least the paper talk is saying that Thiago Almada is staying for 2024, and Yorgos Giacomakis, I mean, getting some interest, but he wanted to be the man, essentially. He's talked about being the guy, and he's being able to get that here. I think the ability to be the goal scorer, especially just the raw numbers that he had in the league. I think it's a no-brainer that he would stay, but stranger things have happened, but hopefully not. Hopefully we can really build on these two key cogs in this side. But as well, we alluded to that MVP race talk. Well, unfortunately, Thiago Almada, he lost out to FC Cincy's Lucho Acosta. And yes, he was placed in third in the votes. And I mean, I think it's warranted, right? I mean, it's like the Supporter Shield winners, as well as Acosta having 17 goals and 14 assists. I mean, Almada had a really great season, but probably the deserved winner is Acosta.
Yeah.
It did. And I mean, it's just like Almada, though, he got 6% of the votes. Denny Buwanga, he got 15%, and Lucho Acosta got a whopping 60%. Yeah, I mean, if we had won Supporter Shield, maybe you know, there might be a good shout because Armada did lead the league in assists, but yeah, ultimately.
Yeah, we would win a lot of things if we were good. So.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. But yeah, man. It's I think it just ups the profile of Armada though across you know, the world. So it's never a bad thing. But yeah, I think, you know, we will definitely look to an MVP caliber season next season as well. Hopefully he can stay the entire season, but we will see. But yeah, next bit of news is that Efren Morales, the homegrown, he has been re-signed, the Suwannee native. He has an extension through the 2024 season with an option for the 2025 and 2026 seasons. So yeah, center back, also being called up for his national team as well. Yeah, he's been showing out for the twos, and yeah, you know, he seems like a player that, along with Noah Cobb, are a couple of young, you know, prospects that will be able to allow Atl United to maybe miss Miles Robinson a little less. We'll see. Yeah, I mean that those are big shoes to fill, and you know, the last person that maybe had the shoes of the heir to that throne, I guess, for a lack of a coherent metaphor, was George Campbell, and obviously he was sold off promptly to Montreal. But yeah, you know, it's not unprecedented that we can maybe have somebody that comes from the academy to be able to, you know, kind of refill the coffers. But yeah, Efren Morales, you know, I think more homegrowns that are coming out of our system. You know, I think, yeah, we're seeing the fruits of our labor right now with, you know, kind of how it started, which there weren't very many academy players, but now, you know, with Caleb Wiley, with Noah Cobb, with, you know, some of the other guys as well, it's not a bad shout that you know, we're churning some very talented players. But yeah, what's your take on Efren Morales?
I mean, you know, you said basically all of it, but my opinion in general in terms of the twos and guys coming from the academy is that for me, their bare minimum is to be serviceable in MLS, at least for us, and then when they move on, kind of like the George Campbell type scenario. I think it's, you know, more rare to get like a really solid homegrown or something like that out of like a Caleb Wiley or something. That's, you know, just, you know, that's excess. That's playing with house money. That's like great that you can have a player like him. Caleb is amazing, so that's really great. You know, we've had a couple of guys who had decent success overseas and things like that. It's, you know, it's at least having a serviceable guy come through our ranks every once in a while is very, very good, and it's the minimum kind of expectation I have. And then if it goes any further than that, I think that that's just amazing. Obviously, the expectation for the future is, and for the academy to grow, get more prestigious, is to be able to do more than that, to increase the expectation. However, at this point, I like how I think we're beating expectations. We're doing really, really well. And then maybe 5-10 years from now, we're really churning out some internationally known, well-established players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because obviously the benchmark, maybe the ones that set the example, FC Dallas, and yeah, they've churned out some incredible players, obviously, right. And yeah, I mean, you know, at least to say Weston McKennie, who, yeah, I mean, he's played at some of the biggest teams, so it's, yeah, if we can do that, obviously, well, you know, a lot of fans will still be salty because, yeah, you know, there hasn't been a lot of continuity, I guess, with the players. So, you know, that's a biggest distractor, I think, for a lot of the casual fans. And it makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, you know, it's one of those, like, kind of makes you think of, like, okay, yes, how long is Caleb Wiley going to be here? That type of thing. And, yeah, of course, we will just find out. But great for Efren Morales.
It's even more difficult because of the fact that Caleb's been here in his mind for forever because he's been here since the academy. So for him, I wouldn't be surprised if he's chomping at the bit to you know, in his mind, like, okay, I've taken the grenades in the trenches, let's move on, right? But and I wouldn't blame him for that whatsoever. Of course, that's the goal, right? But like you said, the fans only known him since he started playing in the first team, so their time with him is less. So when he moves on, you know, there might be a discrepancy with the way he sees things and the way fans see things, and it, you know, it's exacerbated even more by the fact that American fans are a little bit more like used to players sticking around for longer contracts.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I mean, hopefully Caleb Wiley has a maybe onus to want to win trophies with his hometown club, and I think so. I mean, yeah, I think there's a very competitive bone in his body, or bones. As evident, like, yeah, just anytime he goes up against the best player on the opposite team, like, he doesn't back down and he will not shy away from it. So very, very big shot. I think that he's probably you know, if anybody, going to yeah, really find himself at a big club in Europe. But moving on from that, Alonzo, he said his goodbyes. Yeah, obviously, there were a bunch of players that we mentioned last week that got the old thank you from Atl United's social media team. The old heave-ho, exactly. And yeah, but Alonzo, he says thank you very much for everything on X, and you know, so it kind of bookends a tumultuous time for him. And yeah, he did post like 4 pictures of him playing, which I feel like were the only games that he played. Right. Were the 4 times that he was in uniform. But yeah, I mean, it's a tale of what could have been, you know, like it's.
And he didn't get a chance to wear the 404, did he?
No, he didn't.
Sad. Sad.
Exactly. It is. But you know, he's that player that, man, if he had stayed healthy, like those beginnings to the seasons, like when he was in there, like it's, he showed a lot of what maybe we were missing, and what Sosa and Ibarra weren't able to do. Yeah. And yeah, it's just a really big shame, because I think he would have been a pretty key cog to be able to kind of make that into, you know, a midfield that was coherent. But fate was not at hand here, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you, Alonzo, though. You know, I have a feeling, though, will he become a coach, or will he become, you know, will he continue to play? But either way, would you take him as a coach on Atl United?
I don't know enough about his ability to be a coach. I think he's I mean, he's one of the more cerebral players, I think, when I was hearing about how Seattle described him in the midfield. You know, very smart guy. So there's potential there. I mean, if Pineda rates him as an intellectual, I would probably give him a shout. So, you know, that's where I'd go with it.
Yeah. Totally good shout. Okay, well, let's see. That is the news, but let's get into the mailbag. And you guys sent in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. But first question comes from Spun Pedo. Yes, how come LAFC and Columbus turned it around so quick? We are on year number 4. I would assume year number 4 of him saying that we are maybe mediocre or on a rebuild. But yeah, what do you think? Like, why have they been able to, you know, kind of turn maybe some of the downturn years into, you know, pretty decent playoff runs that can continue into the MLS Cup final if everything goes right for them?
I mean, the simple answer shortcut to this is they signed good players. You know, they had front office and they had a scouting division. They had people looking to build a team in a certain way, and they did it. And they found good players that are willing to, you know, put it all in for them. And so you're seeing the results of that. A smart roster build is really what it is. And unfortunately, Atlanta United hasn't had that for a while. And I think we went out and got the guy he's like the smart roster build guy of the league. So hopefully that means we'll start to see that as well for us. So I think we are at the cusp of a turnaround, as you put it. So yeah, I expect to start seeing that. I mean, we already, I believe, are with, you know, the addition of Tristan, Zonde, and Saba, and Yorgos. So I think we're seeing it, and I think we'll see a lot more of it next season as well.
Great show. I mean, yeah, it's one of those, like, these clubs obviously are well backed as well, and as are we, and so the difference for us should not take that long. But yeah, ultimately, like Mike is saying, is that, yeah, I mean, you know, you get the executives that can, you know, that have engineered retooling every season really well. Yeah, that's what you got to do. And yeah, I think we're trending in the right direction, I would say, in that regard. And so hopefully maybe that coincides with a deep playoff run next season. But next question comes from the Two Spikes podcast. Do you think this season was a success?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question, which we will answer in the next segment. But yes, definitely, you know, we won't jump the gun on that. But yeah, we will definitely answer that question in this next segment. Okay, next question comes from YoPro20ATL. What game showed our downfall in the 2023 season? Ooh.
What game showed our downfall? I don't know if it was one game was a downfall. I think it's a death by 1,000 cuts type thing.
Ooh.
So I'm not sure that you can point to one game where, you know, the wheels came off. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it. Yeah.
Because it had hills and valleys, right? It went up and down.
Did.
So it's hard to be like, well, here's where we hit the precipice and just had a steep decline here on out.
Yeah, I think maybe the Grimmest Moment was our 6-1 loss to Columbus. That it just felt, yeah, where fans, you know, they say the hope kills you, but it's like, it's also when the despair kills you, because that was just like, oh my god, like, are we this bad? Obviously, you know, we weren't, but
right,
yeah, it's you know, without context, and you know, you just see that drubbing. Yeah, you know, it doesn't allow the casual fans to get inspired.
I mean, to give a little bit more of an answer, I guess maybe I could say, like, when Ozzy Alonzo wasn't going to be regularly part of the team, essentially. But I mean, I know that's like fairly early on in the season where this happened, but I mean, we were talking about earlier how much of a you know, like a pylon player, a cog who can be a veteran to keep a midfield together, which clearly that was a massive issue we had. So, you know, it could be, you know, a bit of that. That's when maybe one wheel fell off, but I don't know about all wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, in our midfield, which was definitely the Achilles heel, it was, I think, important cog. So, okay, next question. Dayton Mucha asks, could we see a formation change next year where we overload the midfield?
Yeah, I think so. If you have, like what I was talking about with like an addition of a DP level midfielder to go with Tristan in some way, I think you can see us start to feed, like, and if you have like a, you know, adding a fourth DP, you could see like a spine of DPs along the middle of the pitch. And then so basically that will be your route one, and then anytime you need to change things up, or the midfield's getting tired, you can go to the wings easy and they can bomb down with Wiley and Lennon. But you have your top players in the midfield, you're going to go through the midfield a lot, and you're going to succeed a lot too. And that's what I'm hoping to see. I don't know if that necessitates a formation change or tactics or anything, but it's very possible. I don't know if Pineda's interested in doing that. Doesn't seem like he is, but I think you can still play very effectively through the midfield with what we're already doing when you have a much better midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I think it's a little bit to add on to that. I think it's also like the formation is not really that important per se in like how they start,
right?
Because the crux of it, I think, is that the team is going to shift as the game goes on, and I think we saw that last season, or this season rather, that 2023 season. Where Brooks Lennon, he tucked in a little bit. He became a little bit more of an interior player at times, but then also, did his customary thing where he goes out wide, goes to the byline, and as well, I think a little bit where there's the early cross. I think you also see, kind of where Caleb Wiley, he also was able to, come a little bit more central. And I think all those aspects, the fullback is almost like this auxiliary kind of position in the modern game where you are seeing a lot of fullbacks play multiple positions throughout a match. And so, we might be doing that with Caleb Wiley and Brooks Lennon. They seem like very astute players that can take in information really well and quickly. But as well, yeah, I mean, I think, you see the years in which some of the best teams in the world in, say, the Euros or World Cup, say with Spain, where they played with like 6 or 7 midfielders essentially, and sometimes without a striker. It's yeah, I think you'll see that onus on just making sure that you have that midfield locked down. Like that's where you can really control games. And yeah, I don't know if it's a formation change per se, but I think we're gonna line up 4-3-3 in the traditional sense of the how it shows on a social media graphic. But I think Gonzalo Pineda, I'm seeing him learn some things from the World Game as well, and I think he's incorporating a little bit of that. So hopefully he does. Yeah, like watch more Man City games, watch more, of the top coaches, that, and it seems like maybe he is a little bit, but yeah,
sure he is
as well. Yeah, but anyway, so next question comes from Alex Brunel 08. Biggest weakness in the squad and biggest strength, I guess, of the players that are left, I would assume.
I would say probably goalie, maybe. Because like Rossetto goes by go-to answer, but he's not here anymore. And Miles is technically still here. So I don't know. I mean, our defense is okay, so it's not terrible, but it's not great. Goalie, I think, does need to be improved. So I think that's next on my to-do list for the next season.
And biggest strength.
Biggest strength is, that's an interesting question. Our biggest strength, I guess, would probably be our crossing to Yorgos. Probably be our biggest strength. That's like a reliable way for us to get on the board, despite what the other team is doing. I just wish he would do it a little bit more regularly, but it seems to be always a threat and always something that other teams know to look out for and to be wary of. So I think that's probably, to me, having something reliable to like pretty much say we're always a threat in this area, I think is a good thing to call strength.
Yeah, that's a really really good shout on all that because yeah, I was thinking more like players, but yeah, you went with yeah, like kind of a way that we play, and yeah, no doubt actually, like some of our most dangerous moments is finding the head of Yorgos Yakimakis. So yeah, that's I don't know if I can come up with something better than that. That's like that's really
I mean,
good.
I think another one of our strengths is kind of like an auxiliary, ancillary thing is Thiago's free kicking ability, because he is, I think, the best in the league in terms of free kicks. So
Yeah, just even on set pieces in
yeah.
general. Yeah, like it's like he just is very very accurate on a very consistent level, and I think it's also yeah our one of our biggest strengths as well is on the counter attack, and especially with the players that we had. But I think it's also yeah if we keep Sean da Silva, I mean basically that front five, if you will, with even with Tristan Muyumba, like yeah, it's very deadly. So yeah, that, and then if you want to count Brooks Lennon at times, it's like I mean we've got a lot of attacking, and okay yeah, even Caleb Wiley, who yeah on a counter attack, very very clutch, like very clinical,
high scoring team. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, but next question comes from, let's see, AK Rutledge 24. Who's your unsung hero? Very good question.
unsung. I guess I would. I mean, I really really like Caleb Wiley just because of everything about him. Like in terms of how much money he takes up, which is not a lot. The fact that he's a homegrown, the fact that he's here playing for us, and he puts it all on the line every game. He's always coming with energy. I mean, he scores goals. He's exciting. He runs and takes on players. He doesn't take anything from anyone. I mean, this is the kind of guy you want on your team. So, and he doesn't score all the goals. He doesn't always make the best defensive moves because he's still young. He's still learning. But he's such a good utility player. So I'm gonna say that because he doesn't show up on stat sheets all the time. So I'm gonna say that's why he's unsung, and I think he's a hero for all things I said.
Yeah, that's a great shout. I'm gonna go with his opposite number on the other side, Brooks Lennon.
Yeah, but people talk about him all the time.
Yeah, not as a sung hero.
I mean,
There's a lot of
Mr. Most Assists or whatever, or whatever it was he had. He had some kind of accolade in terms of assists.
He did, but I mean, ultimately, I think if you ask the majority of LA United fans, they're not rating Brooks Lennon as one of their like favorite players. They're not rating him as a guy that okay, yeah, this is a guy that we need to build this team around. But he's steady. He's a guy that plays nearly every single minute, and yeah, the double-digit assist count is incredible for a fullback. And yeah, he has some defensive frailties, but ultimately in MLS, I mean, if you can get a double-digit assist number from a fullback, from a defender, like yeah, like that's gonna be something that is an intangible. And I think ultimately, yeah, most fans, let's just be real, they don't rate Brooks Lennon like that.
Yeah, well, don't worry, Brooks, we rate you like that. Possible captain next season, Brooks Lennon. So
I would say, yeah, if Brad Guzan does not return, Brooks Lennon is probably the natural heir as the captain. So, and he's been seen, in various social media stuff, that he's that guy that is sometimes leading that huddle. So, like he's becoming more of a vocal person as well. But last question comes from Gavin is not the real one. Good old Gavin. He asks if there was a Darkhorse player for Atlanta United in 2024, who's that?
Oh, you mean like a player who hasn't been contributing that much all of a sudden has a breakout season next season?
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's a tough question. Yeah, I mean, well, we can go through some players. You know, players that haven't gotten a ton of playing time, or maybe are on the fringes right now. So, okay, Santiago Sosa is a player that is on the fringes. Obviously, fairly well paid rather, but a guy that obviously saw a lot less playing time after that Inter Miami match. You know, let's see as well. Maybe a Noah Cobb, maybe a Efrain Morales, maybe Edwin Mosquera. Maybe he.
Edwin Mosquera, his breakout was the second half of the season, so he's already. For sure. I don't think he's a dark horse anymore.
Well, maybe he's a dark horse for a starting winger position. I'm just gonna let you marinate in that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, okay, also a Johnny Fortune. You know,
a Johnny Fortune's a good idea. I think he's a good shout because he's perfect for developing and starting and, you know, getting minutes and really finding himself on the pitch at this high level. So it's exciting to watch him become the player he's going to be in real time. So I'm excited to see big things from him next season. Also, like, Firmino could be interesting.
Yep.
But like in terms of players who I like, so it's like I can answer this in two ways. Like, one is like who's the most realistic ones, and those are the kind of the two realistic ones in my head. But the one I hope has a breakout season is like Abram, because I just want him to be really good. I want him to be very good and be that solidifying back line presence that we desperately need, especially if Miles leaves.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen,
what it is.
But
yeah. Like, I think it's okay with Abram. Does it become a thing where if we notice him more, that's not really a good thing when it's a defender, when it's a central defender? I mean, tough. But yeah, you know, because usually a quiet day from a defender is usually a good day. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree that, you know, in the sense that a Johnny Fortune, if he can have a really good season, that obviously I think ups our chances immensely. And
unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be seeing that much of him. Like, we'll see him as a sub, because I think we're going to get a very, very good starter in that spot. But we will see him as a sub, and I think he will make an impression, and he's going to continue to develop. And I'm really excited to see how that goes, because I think he has potentially a significant, ceiling like Wiley or Bello or things like that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, hopefully he does. And but that is the mailbag, and it gets us into the season review. And joining us is Drew from our Patreon. Very, very stoked to bring you on. And yes, we will talk through the 2023 season. And but yes, Drew, welcome. How are you?
Doing good. Glad to be on here tonight, boys.
Hell yeah, man. And yeah, thank you for patiently waiting backstage. But yeah, the Atlanta United season, we finished 6th in 2023 in the Eastern Conference. Win-loss and draw record of 13-9-12, 51 points. We, of course, dropped to the Columbus Crew in the first round. But yeah, we had, I think, a resurgence in the second half of the season, no pun intended, and just level of play really just immensely got better after the transfer window. But yeah, it's almost a tale of almost 2 seasons, maybe, or 2 half seasons. But yeah, we will talk about pretty much a few of our favorite things, and yeah, we'll start with maybe some maybe easier ones. Lob it up for you guys. So, best attacker of the 2023 season. Drew.
I'm gonna go with Yorgos. Yorgos came into this season and kind of took that 7 shirt and filled in a spot. We didn't know if this was going to be filled. We didn't know what to expect from him. And it was very much a seamless transition from Joseph to Yorgos. And I think he has a second gear as well. You got to think, he came over from a long European season. He was probably tired. He was also injured throughout the season. I'm interested even more to see where he goes next season with us. It could be even better.
And he should have a much better team with him at his side now, too.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a scary prospect to see him firing all cylinders next year.
That's a great show. Michael?
Yeah, I think I'm going to answer this in like 3 ways, maybe. The first way is yes. Definitely Yorgos is the most exciting in terms of like poaching, attacking, right there in the box, fox in the box type of scoring stuff. Whereas if you want to also answer in terms of like a player who's exciting and involved in the attack when it comes to taking on players, I think I'd shift that to Thiago. That's exciting in terms of the attack because that's the kind of guy who opens up a lot of space on the pitch, either by beating his man or by making that long ball cross that opens up so much space. That is essential to Atlanta United's attack. So to me, it's exciting. That's a great attacker, a great attacking piece. And yeah, maybe he doesn't like always get the ball and score like Yorgos tends to do, but he finds ways to make the play happen that ends up as a goal. And that kind of attacking soccer is exciting to watch, especially because he's so damn talented. And then maybe third, I want to say from the defensive end, Tristan's ability to take on people as well is also very exciting to watch. He has no bones about trying to get up and make himself known in the attacking half. And when he goes at players, that's exciting because now that throws the other team out of whack because they have to adjust for a defender now running at them. And that's always exciting too. So whenever I see these guys on the ball in terms of the attack, I get on board. I kind of move a little bit closer to the TV, get a little bit more like focused. Yeah, because I'm like, this is something interesting is going to happen here.
Yeah, both obviously, really great shouts, of course. Yeah, hard to pick between the two, obviously, but I think for me, Almada pips it just because, he gets third in the MVP race for a reason, and yeah, those assist numbers could have been even higher. I mean, I say it's there were, I think, moments where we weren't as clinical as we could be, but I mean, yeah, this guy just ran the game for us, and I think it was evident in the the Columbus game, the whole series, really. I say that's when he's on the pitch, he just makes us so much better, and yeah, he just connects on everything a lot more. But okay, next is best defender. Drew.
I'm gonna go with somebody that I'm gonna go with Avram. He came into this season as kind of a question mark. We didn't see him too much early on in the season, and when we did, it was really shaky. Then about halfway through the season, you saw him take over that starting role, and it kind of correlated with us picking up better form, getting a little bit better defensively, not to the level we should be, but a lot more stable. And he was starting to get very noticeable with some of his long balls and his defensive play, and I thought that him in the second half of the season just took over as basically the lead center back there. So I'm interested to see what he does next year with us. So
yeah, definitely he solidified that left center back position once he got into the side. And yeah, Juanjo Parata, yeah, he became a ghost. It was like you just didn't hear about his name until, you know, he came on as a substitute, and, you know,
or when you need to miss a penalty.
Yeah, and that. Wait, but yeah, Mike.
So I'm gonna say I think Miles just overall was our best defender. Just because even when Miles is slightly checked out, he's still very good. You know, overall speaking, but I like what Drew said is still 100% correct. That doesn't take anything away from Abram, the fact that I think Miles was overall the best. But I do want to give a shout out to Wiley in terms of his defensive efforts. Again, I just love Wiley. He's such a good player for us. And like I said, utilities all over the place, and his defensive actions need praise as well. I mean, I'm on the record, and I'll stay on the record by saying Caleb's ability to just boss people off of the ball, shoulder anyone, and I mean that if you're trying to get in a team's head to knock them off of their composure, you're just knocking guys into like the boards, to the pitch side advertisement boards. Like, it's just great to see that type of energy on the defensive end, and he does it on the offensive end as well. It's just, that's an energy leader kind of thing. That's charismatic. That's electric. That gets players fired up. That gets fans fired up. So, you know, Messi, look out next season, because he doesn't care how many, you know, Ballon d'Ors you've won. He's just gonna put you into the grass.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah. You guys said some, just spot on things. I'll add that, it's probably, we know Miles Robinson is probably the best defender, but I think ultimately the standout for me is Caleb Wiley. I mean, once he actually got into the back line, because of course Andrew Gutman was part of this side and played it pretty decently, of course, but you saw the defensive lapses when Gutman maybe strayed too far forward. But Caleb Wiley, he was, I think made sure really to, track back a lot more, and, actually kind of not only improve defensively, but he became defensively sound in like making sure positionally, for the most part, he was, making sure that, he marked the players properly, and so that, they would be in his pocket. They couldn't get, an easy chance from going at him. Like, I think in terms of him winning duels, like him being dribbled at, I don't think he was dribbled past very much. And so, when you have at least two players on that back line that can, handle that, I think that's when we started to improve defensively. But next is favorite moment. Drew.
I'm gonna go with Machop Chol scoring his first goal in MLS. It was kind of a cool moment. My first ever game I went to, I was gifted this Machop Chol scarf, and coming into the season, seeing him have more of a role on the team, and then seeing him get that goal in Toronto was a cool moment, honestly, for me, and I wish him all the best, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a great guy. Like the team says, it's everybody's best friend, and so it's I mean, he's just a player that you just can't help but root for him, because you just see that he's always smiling, he's always cutting up with the rest of the group, but also he has some very good ability. It's just a matter of being able to maybe win a spot. That's probably his biggest thing. Like, he's got a tough road, obviously. But Mike.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit because my favorite moment is kind of almost like my favorite goal as well. So I'm not going to have them just double up.
Okay.
I'll just go with the fact, like, just, it's not necessarily a moment. It's a moment in time. It's kind of a lengthy one, which is the entire Miami game where we won at home. September 16th, that was the game where, you know, Atlanta United started to show that they had something again. It started to give people hope again. Started to make people think perhaps the Benz is a fortress again. Maybe we can do some damage in the playoffs. It was a really it was the game that really kind of turned things mentally for a lot of people into the positive. So, you know, we were talking earlier about how, you know, was there like a moment where there was a negative precipice, but I think this was kind of the opposite. This was kind of an ascendancy moment. And so, yeah, I think for me, that was in totality of that game, was my favorite moment of the season.
That's a great show. Yeah, I think for me, I think it's that Seattle Sounders game where, you know, we play very well away, and you know, we're able to not only see like Yorgos Giacomakis you know, hit the back of the nets, but it's also, I believe, yeah, Tristan Muyumba, you know, he was coming into the side as well, but he was, yeah, you know, helping us solidify that midfield, and it just showed this kind of, okay, yeah, we could maybe do something on the road now, like something, and yeah, to be able to get a win against a side that, like, currently, you know, or at least, you know, they made a pretty decent run to the playoffs. Like, they aren't a terrible side, but yeah, so I think, you know, for us to be able to get points on the road, like, I think it started to maybe make the season less dire.
Yeah.
So definitely was I think something that we needed for sure. But okay, next favorite goal. True.
First game of the season, Thiago Almada, 98th minute versus San Jose. That whole sequence of us being down 1-0 to winning 2-1 in stoppage time was incredible. I lost my mind watching that second goal go in, and it was an incredible start to the season. Maybe a little nerve-wracking, but it was an exciting moment just to start our season with a bang.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, everyone will probably remember where they were at when he hit it from the parking lot, and it's, yeah, just, man, like, impossible, really, how well he hit that swerve, that swaz. It
was
insane,
incredible.
World class. It's the hard part here is choosing a goal beyond this one. So, Mike, do you have the same goal?
I do have the same goal. But if I had to do a runner-up, it would probably be the howitzer against Portland from Thiago as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, yeah, most of these goals are probably going to be, yeah, Thiago Almada's. I mean, it's just, in the sake of being different, I'll go with this. Yorgos Giacomakis, his goal against DC when he was able to pretty much take it off the keeper.
The angle.
And then, yeah, and that angle is ridiculous. Like, I mean, yeah, it was the front post, but still, I mean, it's like, I argue that's even harder a little bit. But
yeah, that was a Joseph Martinez-esque goal. That was just like, the
yeah,
angle is just impossible, and he somehow nailed it.
Yeah, and from outside the box, and it's just, yeah. And, you know, he kind of, I mean, every celebration of his is pretty it's pretty filled with swagger, but this one, he was just like, it was so cold, his celebration. It was very Joseph Martinez-esque as well. But you know, stood there, looked at the crowd, and just like soaked it in.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, now
Did nobody remember? Did nobody go with the Barry goal?
yeah, I mean yeah, it's a great shout, but it's just I think
Yeah.
it's
I was
like,
expecting somebody to pop up with that because it
was
came out of
very
nowhere.
yeah, very well hit. I mean, it could be like a most incredulous moment because it's like the least likely person on the pitch to score a banger like that.
Yeah.
I think it's also because of the fact that we left that game with like a kind of a bad taste in our mouths because we should have won that game.
Right. It was a bit of a consolation. And,
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, yeah, Miguel Berry, yes, much maligned, but thank you for that goal. But, yep. All right.
Cooking it up afterwards.
Exactly. Yep. But, okay, let's get into the grade for the season. And so A through F, we will, decide what we thought of the season and give our reasons why. So, Drew.
I went ahead and gave us a B because our goal coming into the season was top 4 playoff spot. We did not get to it. We made a playoff spot though. Our season is basically a tale of 2 different halves of our season. It's the first half of the season, which is struggles all throughout, up and down play, and then you go into your second half after getting knocked out by Miami and I can't remember who else we played, but we came back. Yeah, Cruz Azul, thank you. But we came back and showed a different style of play with the different people we brought in, and we looked like a different team from that point on.
Yeah.
And I think if we would have had those players to start the season, I don't think a top 4 finish is out of the question. I would second or third is a very real possibility for the team we had starting the playoffs. It sucks that we weren't able to beat a very strong Columbus team in the playoffs, and we just gotta regroup in this off season and bring the guys that we have now. We gotta bring them back and go from there. Add on to it and make it an even better team, and again push for a top 4 finish next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if if Mike and myself will be as generous for the season, but I mean, it's like B, I think it is like it's well within the shout, I think, of that, like where, I mean, it's how forgiving MLS is. Like that's just like the period. I mean, it's just like, yep, you can pretty much like almost fail your way through most of the season, but yep, you'll find a way in the playoffs. It's like, okay, all right, well, yep, not the worst season, and there's no relegation, obviously, so it's almost consequenceless to a degree.
Yeah.
But at least I think the consequence is losing casual fans. I think that should be probably the thing that like clubs should be looking at, where they're like, oh, okay, yeah, our finances are taking a little bit of a hit. We should do something. But I digress, I think. Anyway, yeah, Mike, great for the season.
So our expectations with this club are to be able to compete for championships every year, regardless of everything that's going on. Obviously, we attempted to with the playoffs when we went to these various tournaments, but we got knocked out in the first round of every tournament we were in this year. That is a resounding failure on the team. They were able to make it into the playoffs, so there's some solace there. But again, first round knockout. They were able to claw their way back into the playoffs after being in kind of a scary position for a little while, iffy position. And I mean, with the personnel and the way we were trending on the field, it definitely looked like there was a possibility that this team is just not good enough. You got the mid-season additions. Things started to turn around. That's some character on the team. That's some ability to come back. I wasn't as worried that Pineda's tactics or his coaching was like 100% the problem or the issue, because it's like, okay, well, we are starting to see some things come together, some things start to work a bit. He just needs more tools. He needs a little bit more time with the team. So, overall, I'm going to give the team a B- for the season. It could have gone C+, but I think B-, because, man, you can't even sniff at an A when you get knocked out of every tournament in the first round. That's just unacceptable. If you win one tournament, outside MLS Cup, I would say, like, okay, you can sniff it like an A-, maybe a B+, but if you get knocked out in each one, I mean, that's just unacceptable. So,
yeah, I mean, that's it's pretty damning, that bit that we got knocked out in the first round in every competition, competition. So, yeah, I think with that as well, you have the roller coaster of a season that we had. I mean, yes, you have some players that are at MLS Best 11 level. You have a lot of just ridiculous wins at the bends where it's improbable, and we are able to, kind of show this resilience that, we'll never say die. We won one playoff game, although it's not winning the series. I mean, it's not an abject failure, but yeah, like you're saying, Mike, with not hitting our goals, which is having home field advantage in the playoffs, which also, I mean, realistic or unrealistic, that's what was set out and said by the team. In yesteryear, of course, our goal most years was to win MLS Cup. I mean, I think it's a C-. It's just, like it's not a great season, but sixth isn't the worst. We were able to surge really well, but I think it's a bit of underperformance when you have not only two MLS Best 11 players, but you also have one of those players essentially carrying the team for most of the season. It's just, I shudder to think if Almada wasn't even on the team, like what kind of season we would have had. Like if we, say, swapped him out for a Marcelino Moreno or something. Like, holy shit. What a season that would have completely been upside down, pretty much, I'd say. So, C-, I think, obviously the lowest of the three of us, but it's, I don't know, I feel like
C- is pretty bad.
C is pretty, I mean, it's passing. D is still passing, but like there were some dire moments this season where like, I think that represents kind of excitement level for some of the fans, because I mean, I just saw a lot of it, in terms of that. Like that's just, you kind of get the temperature of the team most weeks by kind of the comment sections on just any of the stuff that we post, but also checking out LA United's stuff. It's just like you can kind of get an overall temp on that.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of like you kind of almost have to grade both halves of the season and then take the average, because it's like the second half is kind of like at times it's like a B+, and then the the first half of the season like a C minus. You kind of like average them together. It's kind of like a C plus in a way. So it's like it's I don't know.
Generous. I would say the first half is probably like a D. Like D. Yeah.
It was bad in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
It was rough to watch.
Yes, it's like, saying like entertainment value. It's like, okay, yeah, at home, fantastic, but there's a reason why that those away games like probably weren't very well watched. I mean, it's and on top of that, yeah, a lot of them can be on like weekdays, and at some kind of the time that they never say that it is, and it's just like, MLS do better in that respect because,
Do you think they'll have the same time slots? Do you think it's going to be like 7:30 games all season long again?
I don't think it's the time that's the issue. It's the actual time that they actually kick off. That's the issue.
Yeah, well, I'm asking though. Do you think it's going to be those times? Or do you think you're going to see like early afternoon games again?
I think
so. I can
think
take my family to a game finally.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think no. I think they like the 7:30 on a Saturday or like 7 p.m. on a Saturday, for the consistency and for fans to know, at least anyone that's paying attention, I guess. The casual fans, they'll always ask, probably still, but. I think it's ultimately that there's something that they're trying to build of like, oh yeah, like MLS Saturdays, that's when you tune in, and to be fair,
a lot of Europeans watching Messi though.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also, I think the aspect that it's like this in most of the other countries as well, where the teams will play at the nighttime. Like it's not, some of these were like 1 p.m. kickoffs, in yesteryear, and those are weird. Like that.
I remember the 9 a.m. kickoff from the COVID Cup. You remember that?
Oh yeah,
that was wild watching that.
It's like, do you actually want people to be watching this? I mean, yes, a lot of people are home. But...
It was a pandemic and things were different, but anyway, I'm just trying to help our good friend over in Greece, Terrafest, who's watching. I want you to not have to stay up until like 7 a.m. or whatever it is to watch these games that are, I don't know what the time difference is, but it's massive.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. Yeah, like each and every one of you that is not in the United States and are watching Atl United games at wee hours of the night or morning. I mean, it's just wow. More power to you. And there's this whole stigma in Europe where the fans that go to all the games, like they're the true fans, blah blah blah. But it's I think it's the same thing with fans from abroad of those same teams. It's like there's arguably more dedication to staying up or waking up early or any of that. Like early on in the Atl United fan sphere, there were fans, a supporters group in Australia. So it's just like that's 12 hours. Like, that's probably as hardcore as it gets in terms of, that type of thing. So
shout out to the Atlanta United diaspora.
Yeah, exactly. So, but let us know what you guys would grade the season in the comments below. And that pretty much is the episode, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what's your faith level in Garth Lagerwey? Yeah, just let us know kind of what your thoughts on if he can bring us to the next level into a deep playoff run, an MLS Cup win, other cup wins. Yeah, let us know in those comments below. But guys, so that's it for today. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And for Drew and Mike, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.